I need to tell you about the night everything changed. The night Reed offered to be my alibi without asking why I needed one, and that single act of trust shattered every wall I'd built around my heart. It started 3 months ago when Reed moved into the apartment across the hall. I was carrying groceries up the stairs, bags cutting into my fingers, when this guy appeared at the landing with dark, wavy hair and these impossibly warm brown eyes. He grabbed 2 of my bags without asking, just smiled and said, "Hey, I'm Reed, looks like we're neighbours." His voice had this quality to it, soft but confident, and I remember thinking, oh no, this is dangerous. I'm Adrian, by the way. 26, marketing consultant. Generally good at keeping my life compartmentalised and my feelings locked down. I'd been in the city for 4 years, had a decent job, a nice apartment, and absolutely no complications. That was how I liked it. Clean, simple, safe. Reed was 28, worked as a graphic designer from home, and had this way of existing in the world that seemed effortless. Within a week, he knew everyone in the building. Within 2 weeks, he'd somehow become the person everyone went to for help. And within 3 weeks, I was lying awake at night thinking about the way he'd touched my shoulder when he laughed at something I said. I tried to keep my distance. I really did. But Reed had this gravitational pull. He'd knock on my door asking to borrow coffee, then end up staying for 2 hours talking about everything and nothing. He'd text me random thoughts at midnight. He'd leave post-it notes on my door with terrible jokes that somehow always made me smile. The thing is, I wasn't out. Not really. My family knew, technically, but we didn't talk about it. My co-workers didn't know. I dated quietly, carefully, always keeping that part of my life separate from everything else. It was easier that way, less complicated, less vulnerable. But Reed made me want to be less careful. We fell into this routine. Coffee on Saturday mornings at the place 2 blocks over. Wednesday night dinners because we both hated cooking midweek. Random movie nights where we'd end up talking through half the film. He'd sprawl on my couch like he owned it, socked feet tucked under the cushions, and I'd sit in the armchair across from him trying not to stare at the way his shirt rode up when he stretched. I told myself we were just friends. Good friends. The kind of friends who texted each other first thing in the morning and last thing at night. The kind of friends who knew each other's coffee orders and could finish each other's sentences. The kind of friends who made my heart race every time they smiled at me. Just friends. Then came the situation with my brother's wedding. My younger brother Marcus was getting married upstate. Big traditional family affair, and my mother had been calling me every week with the same question. "Are you bringing someone, Adrian?" "It would be so nice if you brought someone. Your cousin brought his girlfriend last Christmas and it was lovely. You're not getting any younger, sweetheart." What she meant was, are you going to show up alone again and make everyone uncomfortable with unasked questions? What she meant was, please pretend to be the son we can understand. I'd been planning to go alone, make an appearance, leave early. But then my ex, David, texted me out of nowhere. He'd heard about the wedding through mutual friends. He wanted to talk. He missed me. Could we meet up? David and I had ended badly 2 years ago. He'd wanted more than I could give, pushed for me to come out fully, meet his friends, integrate our lives. I'd panicked and pulled away. We hadn't spoken since, and I wanted to keep it that way. But he was persistent, texting multiple times a day, and I knew him well enough to know he'd show up at places he knew I'd be, including, potentially, my brother's wedding. His sister had gone to college with Marcus. It wasn't impossible, so I did something stupid. I told my mother I was bringing someone to the wedding, a boyfriend, someone serious. The lie came out so easily, too easily, and the moment I said it, I felt relief. My mother sounded so happy, so excited. "Finally, Adrian, I can't wait to meet him." "What's his name?" I panicked and said. "Reed." I don't know why I said his name. It just came out. Maybe because I'd been thinking about him constantly. Maybe because some part of me wanted it to be true. Maybe because I'm an idiot. After I hung up, I sat on my couch staring at the wall, realizing what I'd done. I'd just committed to bringing my neighbour, my straight neighbour, my friend who had no idea I was into him, to my brother's wedding as my fake boyfriend. I couldn't ask him. It was too much, too weird, too revealing. I decided I'd just tell my mother he got sick. Last minute thing. So sorry, I'd deal with her disappointment and go alone. But then David started showing up. First at my gym, then at the coffee shop Reed and I went to. He'd see me and come over, wanting to talk, touching my arm, standing too close. I'd make excuses and leave, but it was getting harder to avoid him. Reed noticed. Of course he noticed. He paid attention to everything. We were at my apartment on a Thursday night, eating Thai takeout and watching some documentary he'd picked, when he paused it suddenly and turned to me. "You've been weird this week," he said. His eyes were concerned, searching my face. "Is everything okay?" "I'm fine," I lied, stabbing at my pad thai. "Adrian," he said my name in that way he had, gentle but firm. "Come on, talk to me." And maybe it was the way he was looking at me, or maybe it was because I was tired of carrying it alone, but I told him. Not everything. Not about using his name or my feelings, but about David, about the texts and the showing up and how I just wanted him to leave me alone. Reed's expression darkened. "Is he harassing you?" "No. I mean, not really. He just won't take the hint that I don't want to talk." "Have you told him directly?" "Yes, multiple times." Reed was quiet for a moment, jaw tight. Then he said, "Where does he think you'll be this weekend?" "My brother's wedding. Upstate." "Why?" Reed set down his food and looked at me directly. "Go somewhere else." "What?" "This weekend. Don't go to the wedding. Go somewhere he won't look for you. Take a break. Get some space from all of it. I can't just skip my brother's wedding. Why not? Will the marriage be less valid if you're not there?" I laughed despite myself. "My mother would kill me, so you need an excuse." Reed leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Something believable that even your mother would accept. There's nothing that would make her okay with me missing it. What if you had to help a friend? Emergency situation. Can't be avoided." "Reed, I can't use you as an excuse to skip a family wedding." "Why not?" He smiled, that easy, confident smile. "I'm very excuse-worthy." I shook my head. "It's too much to ask." "You're not asking. I'm offering." He said it so simply, like it was obvious. "You need an alibi. I'll be your alibi. No questions asked." I stared at him. "You don't even know why I really need one." "Don't need to," Reed shrugged. "I trust you. If you say you need to not be somewhere, that's good enough for me." Something cracked in my chest. This man, this beautiful, confusing man, was offering to cover for me without asking for explanations, trusting me completely. It was more than David had ever done, more than I'd ever asked of anyone. "I can't let you do that," I said quietly. "Too late, already doing it." Reed pulled out his phone. "What's your mom's number? I'll call her right now. Tell her you have to help me move furniture or something." "Reed, seriously." He looked up at me, and his expression had shifted to something more intense. "Adrian, listen to me. I don't know what's going on with this David guy, but I can see it's stressing you out. You don't owe your family your presence at every event. You don't owe anyone access to you when you need space. So take the weekend. Disappear. I've got your back." The certainty in his voice, the protective edge, made my throat tight. "Why are you being so nice to me?" "Because we're friends." He said it like it was the simplest thing in the world, and friends help each other out. "Right. Friends." The word hurt more than it should have. I didn't take him up on the offer that night. I told him I'd think about it, and he let it drop. But he'd planted the seed. The next day, Friday, David showed up at my office building. I was leaving for lunch when I saw him waiting by the entrance. My stomach dropped. I texted Reed without thinking. "He's here, at my work." Reed called me immediately. "Where are you?" "Still inside. I can see him through the glass." "Is there another exit?" "Yes, but Reed, this is ridiculous. I can't keep avoiding him. You shouldn't have to." Reed's voice was tight with anger, but not at me. "Look, can you get out the other exit? Come to my place. We'll figure this out." I slipped out the back entrance and walked the 15 blocks to our building, looking over my shoulder the whole way. When I got to Reed's door, he opened it before I could knock, like he'd been waiting. His apartment was the mirror image of mine, but felt completely different. Art prints on the walls, plants everywhere, a massive desk covered in design work. It felt like him, creative and warm and lived in. He made me sit on his couch and brought me water. Then he sat next to me, closer than usual, and said, "This isn't okay. You know that, right? You shouldn't have to hide from someone, I know. I just don't know what to do about it. Have you considered a restraining order? It's not that bad. He's just persistent." "Adrian." Reed turned to face me fully. "He's showing up at your work. That's not persistent. That's crossing a line." I rubbed my face, exhausted. I just want him to leave me alone. So let him think you're gone this weekend, Reed's voice softened. Take the out. Go to the wedding or don't. Your choice. But either way, I'll tell anyone who asks that you were with me, helping me with an emergency, whatever you need. I looked at him, at those warm brown eyes that seemed to see right through me, and something shifted. He was offering me protection without asking for anything in return. Trust without conditions. It was terrifying and exhilarating, and I wanted to tell him everything. Instead, I said, "Thank you." He smiled. "That's what I'm here for." I went home that evening and made a decision. I called my mother and told her I couldn't make the wedding. My friend Reed had a family emergency and needed my help. I was so sorry. I'd make it up to Marcus. She was disappointed but understanding, especially when I explained that Reed had no one else to turn to. My mother had always been a sucker for people helping people. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment wondering what I was doing. I wasn't going to the wedding. I had a whole weekend suddenly free. And Reed thought I was using the time to avoid David, which was true, but not the whole truth. The whole truth was that I'd used his name for my fake boyfriend, and now I was trapped in a lie that was getting more complicated by the minute. Saturday morning, Reed texted me. "Coast clear. How are you doing?" "I'm okay. Thank you again for offering to cover for me." "Any time." "What are you doing today?" "Nothing. Hiding in my apartment, apparently." "Want company?" I should have said no. Should have used the weekend to sort out my feelings and figure out how to untangle the mess I'd created. Instead, I said yes. He showed up 20 minutes later with coffee and bagels. We spent the day in my apartment talking and laughing, and I kept thinking this is what it would be like if we were actually together. If I could have this every day. At one point he was telling me a story about a disastrous client meeting, gesturing wildly with his hands, and he knocked over his coffee. It spilled across my coffee table and he jumped up, apologizing, and I grabbed towels from the kitchen. We were both trying to clean it up, bumping into each other, and suddenly we were very close, both crouched by the table, and he looked up at me and smiled, and I forgot how to breathe. "Sorry," he said softly. "I'm a disaster." "You're not," I managed to say. We stayed like that for a moment too long, eyes locked, and I saw something flicker across his face, something I couldn't quite read. Then he blinked and pulled back, and the moment was gone. That night after he left, I lay in bed replaying that look. Was I imagining things, seeing what I wanted to see, or was there a chance, however small, that he felt something too? Sunday afternoon my phone rang. It was my mother. I almost didn't answer, but I knew that would make things worse. "Hi, Mum." "Adrian, sweetheart, how's Reed's family emergency?" "It's, getting better. We're handling it." "That's good. I'm glad he has you." She paused. "You know, I was talking to Marcus about him, about Reed, and we realised you've never mentioned him before. My blood went cold, haven't I?" "No." "When did you two start dating?" I closed my eyes. "A few months ago. I've been meaning to tell you." "Well, I'm sorry we won't get to meet him today, but maybe at Christmas. I'd love to have him join us." "Yeah, maybe." "Mum, I should go. We're kind of in the middle of something, of course. Give Reed our best. And Adrian, I'm really happy for you. It's nice to hear you talk about someone special." After we hung up, I dropped my phone on the couch and put my head in my hands. This was spiralling. Now my family thought Reed was my boyfriend. Thought we'd been dating for months. Expected to meet him at Christmas. I had to tell him. I had to come clean about the whole thing. But every time I tried to imagine that conversation, I felt sick. "Hey Reed, remember when you offered to be my alibi? Funny story. I actually already told my family you were my boyfriend because I'm in love with you, and apparently I'm a liar who makes terrible decisions." Monday morning I went back to work, distracted and anxious. David didn't show up, thank God, but I couldn't focus on anything. I kept drafting and deleting texts to Reed. He texted me first around lunch. "Emergency successfully avoided. You doing okay?" "Yeah. Thanks again for everything. Stop thanking me." "What are friends for?" That word again. Friends. It was starting to feel like a knife. That evening there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Reed holding a bottle of wine and wearing a concerned expression. "You've been weird again," he said, walking past me into my apartment like he belonged there. Spill. "I'm fine. Adrian." He set the wine down and turned to face me. Come on. What's going on? And I broke. I couldn't hold it anymore. The lies, the feelings, all of it came pouring out. I told my mum you were my boyfriend, I said in a rush. Before the wedding. Before any of this with David. I told her I was bringing someone and I said your name and now she thinks we're dating and she wants you to come to Christmas and I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have used your name. I shouldn't have lied. I just panicked. And you were the first person I thought of and I'm an idiot and I'm so sorry. Reed stared at me. The silence stretched out, heavy and suffocating. Say something, I pleaded. You told your mum I was your boyfriend. Yes. Before the wedding. Yes. So when I offered to be your alibi, you already needed an alibi because you told your family we were together. Essentially, yes. He was quiet for another long moment. Then he said, Why? Why? What? Why did you tell them we were dating? Why my name? I couldn't look at him. I don't know. I panicked. My mum was pressuring me about bringing someone and I said the first name that came to mind. And that was my name. Yes. Why? He stepped closer. Adrian, why was I the first person you thought of? My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. I don't know. Yes, you do. His voice was soft but insistent. Why me? Because I wanted it to be true, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. Because I think about you constantly, and I look forward to seeing you every day and I notice everything about you and I wanted, just for a moment, to pretend that we were actually together. So I said your name, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll tell my family it was a misunderstanding. I'll fix it. You don't have to do anything. Reed was very still. What if I don't want you to fix it? What? What if I want to meet your family at Christmas? He moved closer, and I could feel the warmth radiating off him. What if I've been waiting for you to notice that I make excuses to see you every day? That I text you constantly? That I offered to be your alibi without questions because I'd do pretty much anything you asked me to? I couldn't breathe. What are you saying? I'm saying I think about you constantly too. He reached out and touched my arm, gentle and deliberate. I'm saying every Wednesday dinner and Saturday coffee. I've been trying to figure out if you felt the same way. I'm saying when you told me about David, I wanted to punch something because someone was making you uncomfortable. I'm saying that moment yesterday, cleaning up the coffee, I almost kissed you. The world tilted. You did? Yeah. He smiled, soft and vulnerable. I really did. Why didn't you? Because I wasn't sure you wanted me to. Because I thought maybe I was reading too much into things. Because I was scared. You were scared? I almost laughed. Reed, I've been terrified for 3 months. Of what? Of this? Of telling you? Of ruining our friendship? Adrian. He said my name like it meant something. You're not ruining anything. You're making it better. Then he kissed me. Soft and careful at first. Like he was asking permission. I kissed him back. 3 months of wanting pouring into it, and his hands came up to cut my face and everything else fell away. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. So, he said, voice rough, I'm your boyfriend now? If you want to be. I really want to be. He kissed me again, quick and sweet. Though we should probably get our story straight before Christmas. How long have we been dating? 3 months? Since you moved in? Works for me. He grinned. And what's my favourite coffee order? Large Americano with room for cream. I smiled back. What's mine? Vanilla latte, extra hot, no foam. See? We've got this. We spent the rest of the evening on my couch, wrapped around each other, talking about everything. How he'd been interested from the first day we met. How I'd been trying so hard not to fall for him. How we'd both been dancing around it for months. So what do we do about David? Reed asked eventually, fingers tracing patterns on my arm. I'll talk to him. Tell him clearly that I'm with someone and he needs to stop. Want me there? I thought about it. Actually, yes, if you don't mind. Adrian, I'm your boyfriend now. He kissed my temple. Of course I don't mind. The next day, we met David at a coffee shop. Reed sat next to me, close enough that our shoulders touched, and I felt brave. I told David directly that I was seeing someone, that I needed him to respect that and stop contacting me. He looked between us, and something in his expression hardened. This is the emergency friend. He laughed, bitter. You're really dating your neighbour? Yes, Reed said calmly. And you're really going to leave him alone now? David stood up, angry. Whatever. Good luck with that. He left without another word. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. That was awful. But it's done. Reed took my hand. He's gone. It's over. And it was. David stopped texting, stopped showing up. I blocked his number and started to breathe easier. Reed and I fell into being together like we'd been doing it all along. It was easy and natural and right. He stayed over most nights, his clothes migrating to my closet, his toothbrush appearing in my bathroom. We told our neighbours, who all claimed they'd seen it coming. We told our friends, who had similar reactions, and when Christmas came I brought Reed home to meet my family. My mother loved him immediately. He charmed everyone, told stories, helped in the kitchen, fit in seamlessly. At one point my brother pulled me aside and said, "He's great, Adrian. I'm really happy for you." My mother cornered me before we left. "I like him so much, sweetheart. He's good for you. I can see it in your eyes. You're happy." "I am, Mom. I really am." On the drive back to the city, Reed reached over and took my hand. So that went well. "They loved you. Of course they loved you. Your mum asked me about the family emergency that made you miss the wedding." He glanced at me, amused. I told her it was a plumbing disaster. Very dramatic. Water everywhere. I laughed. "You're a terrible liar." "I know. It's a good thing this isn't fake anymore." "Best decision I ever made," I said. "Telling that lie. Best decision I ever made was offering to be your alibi." He brought my hand to his lips, kissed my knuckles. No questions asked. We drove through the winter night, the city lights growing brighter ahead of us, and I thought about how everything had changed. How one act of trust, one offer of help without conditions, had cracked me open and let love in. Reed glanced over at me. "What are you thinking about?" "You," I admitted. "How you trusted me without asking why. How that changed everything. You needed help, that's all I needed to know. I love you," I said. The words came out easy, natural. I've been wanting to say it for weeks. He smiled. That beautiful warm smile that had undone me from the start. "I love you too, Adrian. Have for a while now." Later that night, back in my apartment that had become our apartment, wrapped up together in bed, Reed said, "You know what's funny?" "What?" "You needed an alibi for a wedding you weren't actually going to. I offered to cover for you. And somehow we ended up here." "Here is pretty good," I murmured against his shoulder. "Here is perfect." He kissed the top of my head. "Though next time you need an alibi, maybe just ask me on a date instead." I laughed. "Deal." And that's how it happened. How a lie became the truth. How an offer of trust without questions led to love without conditions. How the man across the hall became the man I wake up next to every morning. Sometimes the best things in life come from the moments we're most vulnerable, most honest about what we need. Reed saw me, really saw me, and offered help without asking for explanations. That simple act of faith opened the door to everything else. We're still in the same building, still neighbours with everyone we charmed along the way. But now when I come home, I'm coming home to him. When I need an alibi, it's because we're sneaking away for weekends together. When my mother calls, she asks how Reed is doing, and I get to tell her about our life together. It's been a year now since that night he offered to be my alibi. A year of learning how to be loved without conditions, how to trust without fear, how to build something real from a foundation of honesty and faith. And every day I'm grateful I panicked and said his name. Grateful he trusted me without asking why. Grateful that sometimes the best love stories start with a simple offer of help and the courage to accept it.